Happy Ace Week once again. I'm still filming these earlier. It's almost Ace Week, like it's starting on Sunday. But I might just make all these videos in advance. I'm trying to find a good angle for myself. Okay, so I don't know about what my hair is doing right now because I used some kind of purple dye conditioner thing. I don't know why it's sticked or I don't know. It looks better. Okay, so today in this video I'm gonna be talking about a couple of works by J.S. Meresmaa, and like I've looked into it but I couldn't find what pronouns Meresmaa would use in English, so the pronouns are probably gonna be all over the place. I'm probably just gonna use Meresmaa. So the first book I'm gonna talk about is this, Kerberos. It's the third book in a trilogy written in novel in verse. If you don't know what novel in verse is, it's like when you are like it gives you write a novel, it has characters and stuff like that, but you are writing it in a very more like there's more freedom structurally to write how you want. So this is the third one. I'm doing this video today because I actually have to return to the library today. So I'm gonna do that after this video. So in these books, every book is from the perspective of one person in a troupe, or a trio relationship, that's the term I'm gonna use. So the first book was from the perspective of Ina, the second was from Sara's point of view, and this last one is from Tuukka. If you don't know, Tuukka is a male name. Tuukka is a boy. Okay, so the structure of this trio relationship is Ina is dating Sara, and Ina is also dating Tuukka, and Tuukka and Sara are friends. Sara's a lesbian, and now Tuukka has realized he's asexual. So I haven't read the other two books because they weren't available anywhere. Like I wasn't able to find them at my library, and I haven't seen them at the bookstores. But I think this will probably work better if I read the other two books. So I'm gonna hopefully at some point I'm gonna read it as a trilogy instead of just like this a standalone book. In Kerberos, Sara has recently moved in with Ina and Tuukka, and Tuukka's going to university, and he's suffered from depression most of his life probably, and he's recently started getting help for it. He's getting on antidepressants, and he's in therapy now. So I didn't know what to expect as far as the asexuality is concerned. Like, was it a known factor in their relationship, in the trio relationship prior to this or not? But that was quickly clarified for me because in this book, Tuukka has 2 coming out scenes. I had to take a tiny break. I was losing my voice. So two coming out scenes. First, he comes out to Ina, and it doesn't go well. And then he comes out to Sara, which goes very well. So, basically, the coming out to see Ina is he's hanging out, being affectionate with Ina, and then Ina's like, "Yay, sexy times!" And Tuukka's very like, "Ugh, no, why do we have? Well, like, why is sex just a big deal?" And so then he's like, "Okay, you know what? I'm not in the mood. I don't want to have sex." And then Ina's like, "But you have a hard on. You have an erection. I thought that meant that you want to have sex." And he's like, "No, we have been together for 2 years. You should know better than by now. That's not how it works. And actually, I've been thinking that I might be asexual." And then Ina is like, "Oh, is this because of your antidepressants?" of realistic microaggression, but still not fun to read. So Tuukka fucks off. Like he goes outside for a walk and being all angry. It makes sense, but then he comes back and they talk a little bit about it, and Tuukka makes it clear that okay, we have been together about 2 years. We had sex before, and I didn't mind it. Like I wanted to give you that experience, and you didn't force me into anything. Like it was fine, but I have been thinking that I might be asexual even before I went on antidepressants, and now I've come to the conclusion that I don't want to have sex anymore at all. And later Ina just expresses some doubts like how can our romantic relationship survive if there's no sex, and I'm like, well, Tuukka's like, well, we are happy now, aren't we? Let's think about that if that comes an issue, then let's talk about it again. And I do like how much they emphasize communication between the three people in the relationship, so that's good. So yeah, they end on good terms with Ina, still in a relationship. And then later, Tuukka decides to come out to Sara, and Sara takes it well. She's like, oh, no wonder we didn't manage to have sex because I'm a lesbian and now you're asexual. And she's very understanding, and that scene goes well. So I have 2 points about the asexuality in this book. Basically, it comes down to I feel like if Tuukka was thinking, like they really emphasize communication, so I kind of find it weird that the Tuukka coming out to Ina happened the way it happened, because like yes, they've been having sex, been in a relationship for a couple of years, they've had sex before, and Tuukka was wondering about maybe being asexual prior to going on antidepressants, so it's kind of weird that it comes out the way it does in this kind of very blunt way. So I think that could have been handled better, but maybe it flows better once I know the other characters, because it's novel in verse, it's very like so tightly into one person's point of view, so like I don't really get much out of the characters of Ina and Sara. Like I don't really know them because this is concentrated on Tuukka so much, which makes sense. Second point I want to make about the asexuality is that for some reason Meresmaa thinks that the slang term for asexual in Finnish is asse, which feels weird to me. Like I can absolutely see why you would think that would be the way it would form. Like it makes sense under the rules of Finnish slang terms or whatever, but it doesn't. But it's not what we use. So it's weird because like he uses because Meresmaa uses allosexual in mostly correct way, if I remember correctly. But he still thinks that like it's allo than asse, and it's such weird because like I checked it, and asse is apparently a student exchange organization, and it also means ass in Helsinki slang. And when I was going through this and thinking about it, I was wondering like, is this maybe a regional thing? Like, is this a dialectal thing? And that would be cool to have some kind of regional specificity, something specific to a region, but like Meresmaa doesn't situate the books anyway, so I don't know where even this is set, at least based on Kerberos. So yeah, like in Finnish, the slang term for asexual is asse. No, asse, oh god. No, it's assa. And it's the same way, it's used exactly the same way as ace is used in English. Like, this is an assa. If you're good at something, you're assa. And if you are asexual, you are ascent. I think it makes sense. And I kind of wish that if you used talked about aces and arrows as a team, we use asset and arrat. Like that's a Finnish, like that's a Finnish inside joke. But so basically, the coming out scene was a bit weird, but one was good. I did mostly enjoy it, but I think I need more context of the other books. And I haven't ever heard anyone use asse as a slang for asexual, even though I can see how it works. No. More aces from Meresmaa. Oh, well, one ace. So. Oh, this is Nora. She's a Swedish-speaking, agender asexual vampire who was born in August 1888, which I really love because it makes her about 100 years older than I am. So I think that was very cool. I don't really know, like basically these titles are based on the fact that if you miss an A in pronunciation or writing between when you're writing, if you're meeting someone and you miss the A, you're actually saying you're killing someone. So basically this means either perhaps I will meet you again, or perhaps I will kill you again. And this is until we meet again or until we kill again. So like I said, this is about Nora is a non-narrator protagonist in these books. Like she's the thorough line between the two books, I would say. The first one is about from the perspective of Alexei. He's an e-gamer, 17-year-old. He's 17. He meets Nora, who's a vampire, and Nora almost kills him, but then he's funny, so he's like, I don't know, I don't feel like killing you anymore. You're fun. So then they become friends. Alexei teaches her about playing video games, and she especially loves Sims because it allows her to do all these things that she can't do anymore. And so, but Nora also has a little brother, Kasper. That wasn't even 10 when he was turned into a vampire. So he's especially fucked up, even for a vampire. And Alexei gets his best friend Roope involved in the situation. And then Roope almost gets killed, so Alexei begs Nora, please save my friend. And so Nora changes Roope into a vampire. And then the second book is from Roope's perspective. Roope adjusting to being a vampire and having to give up his life and his family, and also trying to deal with the fact that he's actually homophobic. He's afraid of blood, which makes being a vampire really weird. Like also the mythology in this mythology of these books, vampirism is actually a bacterial infection. I don't remember what region it's from, but it's one of those places that are like famous for vampire lore. Like it's a specific bacteria that apparently like takes hold of you and makes you drink blood to survive. Something like Trixie or something, I don't remember. So anyway, in the second book, Roope is some type of queer. He doesn't really know yet. Like he's attracted to his friend Alexei, but he doesn't know if he's attracted to Alexei because he's Alexei or because Alexei is a man or anything like that. He doesn't know whether or not he's maybe bisexual, maybe he's into girls. He just doesn't know. He's too young to know yet. But when he's having discussion with Nora comes out as asexual and agender or genderless, and because I forgot to say, Nora is also like a Swedish speaking, or at least she speaks Swedish a lot with her brother. And when her brother speaks of her, Kasper uses hun pronouns for Nora, which is a Swedish equivalent to she, so that's why I'm using she pronouns. And she's like, fine, like I don't particularly actually feel like really like female, but people can assume I'm a girl because like in the same way they can assume I'm a human even though I'm not. So I kind of see it as the same thing, and I kind of like that. As someone who's like look this, I'm somewhat feminine, even though that's not how I completely identify, and I have some issues with being gendered as female in certain contexts, sometimes in some weird ways. So I find that very relatable, and like at least from Nora's perspective, she didn't say that she's always felt asexual, and she does acknowledge that a lot of vampires do have a sexy component to feeding. That's why she suggested that Robes would maybe try eating a guy or sucking blood from a guy they don't have to kill when they feed. But so, like to her, it's more like whether she was always like that or whether just living 130 years, basically always having to, like being poor and then always having to raise her brother. She doesn't really have interest in anything sexual or the societal trappings of society. Like she's not never gonna get married or anything like or have children or anything like that. So like that's basically made her at least somewhat. It might have had an effect on the reason why she is like that. Why she doesn't feel like she can dress like a. I don't know. I think this cyberpunk. She dresses very distinctive. This in a very distinct way. Some kind of fashion type that I don't remember right now. I will check. According to Alex, in the first book, she dresses like a cyber goth in neon colors. And so she dresses how she wants without really worrying about what it means for her gender or anything like that, because like she hasn't really had a gender identity as such or interest in sex or anything like that. It's not, and like that's her experience of being a vampire. Like I mean, Robe might be somewhere in the demi-romantic spectrum, possibly, but he doesn't know, and like he didn't stop having sexy thoughts and whatever when he became a vampire. So it's not aspect of vampirism. It's just like how things develop for Nora over time. So I really like these two books. I don't know if I would really like to have a Nora perspective. Nora point of view book. I don't know if it's coming, but I very much enjoyed them. They are easy young adult read, and it's a different twist to have the female and you have a like boy girl dynamic where the boy is the one who's like, but I want to become a vampire and stuff like that, and how to deal with that. And I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed them both, and I would recommend them. They are pretty new. Like from only thing my issue is that like Meresmaa makes it clear that they are happening during COVID times, but they are happening COVID times in 2020 and early 2021. Yet it doesn't actually affect anything. Like it was, if this was said in like a year later, I could see the nonchalance with which they acknowledge that COVID is a thing, but it doesn't really affect anything. So that was something that bothered me about it. Like you don't have, like you very specifically made sure that we know that COVID is real and exists in this world, and then made it sure that we understand that this is happening in September and October of 2020, even though no one is acknowledging what the situation was like in those times, in that time. Like, I seriously, like, I was just reminded, like, I chipped my tooth in September 2020, and I did nothing because it was COVID time. I didn't go to the dentist because, like, because I was worried going to the dentist during COVID time. So, like, I mean, it's now fixed finally, and it didn't give me much trouble until much later because it was a very weird situation. But so, like, I wish she would. I wish Meresmaa would have either not acknowledged that COVID exists, or at least set the book like a year later. Then I could have understand the nonchalance a little bit. I could have understand the COVID situation in the book better. Okay, so this video is quite a long again. But that was Meresmaa's 3 books, 2 asexual characters. I like them both. Like I said, I wanna read the Iina Saratuka trilogy as a whole at some point, because they are novel in verse, and they are very easy, quick reads, and those are also the vampire books were also nice, quickie reads because they are like not necessarily even young adult, but more like, I guess, well, they are 17-year-olds, the characters, so I guess that's the age group. But sometimes I feel frustrated about reading about teenagers, but I really enjoyed those 2 books, partly because they weren't that long, I guess. So, okay, so I would recommend Meresmaa's books if you ever stumble on them. Apparently, some Meresmaa short stories have also been translated to other languages, so you might find something in English, but not these, at least not yet. So, happy Ace Week! I will see you later, probably. Bye!